Gohan is so strong that when he was a toddler, he broke out of a durable Saiyan space pod made of metal. And it's funny how we as Dragon Ball fans don't even think about the fact that Raditz was going to be stranded on Earth with no way of escaping because his nephew destroyed the only pod that he came in. But this gets completely ignored because Gohan is so strong that by just having a temper tantrum, he was able to hurt his evil uncle Raditz, who was stronger than Goku and Piccolo. He was also able to deal more damage on Raditz than his seasoned warrior father was able to do throughout the entire fight. And when his evil uncle got angry and smacked Gohan away, Gohan managed to survive getting directly hit by this evil uncle with no fighting experience to take a hit like this. Gohan is so strong that with no training he was able to completely destroy a mountain on instinct by Piccolo tossing him towards it. Keep in mind that a feat like this was far above anything that Kid Goku ever did up until a certain point in Dragon Ball history. At best, Kid Goku managed to damage a car with his first Kamehameha, but what Gohan did was somewhat comparable to what Master Roshi did in taking out the fire on Mount Frypan. And this is a Master Roshi who was known as being the strongest man in the world with more martial arts experience that you can imagine. Gohan was just a scared kid. Gohan is so strong that he was able to survive in the wilderness all on his own. Now, Kid Goku survived living alone, but he had Grandpa Gohan to train him for his earliest years. And let's not forget that mathematically, Gohan was approximately a third the age of Kid Goku that we saw in early Dragon Ball. So when we're comparing a 4-year-old to a 12-year-old, that's a major difference. And for a fun fact, Gohan was actually originally meant to be 3 years old, so when we go with what Toriyama's original intent was, Gohan would have actually been a quarter of Goku's age. Gohan is so strong that he surpassed every single fighter in Dragon Ball history from early Dragon Ball to their initial strength in Z with just months of training. Remember that Piccolo left Gohan alone to see if he could survive and then came back to train him. And keep in mind that in these months he surpassed seasoned fighters that trained with the best people in the world in Dragon Ball. Gohan is so strong that he was able to fight and damage even stronger Saiyans than his evil uncle that had showed up before. He powered up a blast that was so powerful that it made Nappa make a serious effort to deflect it, and then later on he had a chance to fight head to head with a weakened Vegeta. Ultimately, he was the one who actually ended up defeating Vegeta in his Ozaru form as well. And even if you say he got lucky by squishing him and getting the transformation at the right time because his tail just happened to grow back at the very moment that it needed to grow back, for a 5-year-old to damage an elite warrior like Vegeta even in a weakened state with or without Ozaru is insanely impressive. Gohan is so strong that when he went to planet Namek, he managed to slightly damage Dodoria by kicking him. Regardless of Dodoria being off guard or not, you have to factor in that at this point in time, Gohan never received his potential unlocked by Guru, and Dodoria was approximately 7 to 10 times stronger than Gohan using a scouter, depending on how much stronger Gohan got with the Zenkai boost that he had on planet Earth, coupled with the rage that he would have gotten in that moment. In fact, Dodoria was even stronger than base Vegeta on Earth, so the one kick that Gohan managed to land on Dodoria has a lot more value than you could have imagined. Gohan is so strong that he managed to survive getting his neck snapped by Recoome. And while the fight was completely one-sided, we have to give Gohan credit for holding off Recoome long enough for Goku to arrive. If he hadn't, everyone would have died and Goku would have shown up with absolutely nobody to save. Keep in mind that Gohan is only 5 years old at this point in the story, fighting against Frieza's elite forces. Gohan is so strong that with a temper tantrum he managed to damage Frieza in his second form after getting enraged at the fact that he nearly killed Krillin. Then, when Piccolo was in trouble against Frieza's Xenomorph form, or his third form that we saw, Gohan managed to pin him with a powerful Masenko Ha and forced Frieza to put a lot of effort to deflect it. And later on, once again in an anime-only filler scene, Gohan attempts to try and avenge his father who was believed to have been dead. He manages to hold his own against a final form Frieza and inflicts some damage on him. Now keep in mind that a 5-year-old did all of this to the Emperor of the Universe, and in another anime-only scene after the battle with Frieza, Gohan manages to briefly overpower Vegeta when Vegeta disrespected his father's name. All of this from a little kid. Gohan is so strong that he defeated an entire saga of filler. In both instances against Garlic Jr., the first being a movie, he had no fighting experience at all and was the integral piece that helped defeat Garlic Jr. Later on in the filler arc of the Garlic Jr. saga, Gohan repeats this many years later along with Piccolo and Krillin. So in a world where Garlic Jr. is fighting against the most experienced fighters on Earth, he manages to lose to the same kid twice. Gohan is so strong that he equalized and surpassed his father after training in the Room of Spirit and Time. This was evident because in Goku's fight with Cell, Gohan wasn't impressed by Goku's performance. Along the way, he also became the youngest Super Saiyan ever at that time before it became a meme for other characters to do it without trying. Gohan is so strong that he wiped out all 7 Cell Juniors, and 8 if you count the original Dragon Ball Z anime where there was an editing mistake and an extra Cell Junior was actually created. But what's more impressive is that in the manga, Gohan manages to one-shot all of them in the most graphic depiction of violence in Dragon Ball history. Gohan is so strong that he showed Cell who was the boss by punching him once. And it was this one punch that directly tilted the entire balance of the battle. Keep in mind that this is a Cell that fully brought out his power and punched Gohan directly in the face, dealing absolutely no damage. He then proceeds to beat Cell so bad afterwards that he barfs up Android 18. And the beating that Gohan gave Cell was so bad and drove Cell so mad that he forced Cell to have to resort to blowing himself up to win. And keep in mind that when Cell was going through this, he didn't know that he was going to come back. Cell basically went on a mission thinking that he was going to die anyway, so he might as well take everybody with him, and only came back to life as an accident of not even knowing his true regenerative capabilities. Gohan is so strong that he took a direct hit by Super Perfect Cell like a champ to save a person that put him in a worse situation in the first place. And with a busted arm, he was able to fully eviscerate an even stronger version of Cell with some pep talk by Goku and a brief distraction by Vegeta. Now, of course, in the anime version of this, the other Z fighters were all helping out Gohan too, so you can also give them credit, but in the original manga, Vegeta was the only one that jumped in to help. Gohan is so strong that in the anime version of Trunks' timeline, which is called The History of Trunks, he forced both androids to fight at full power in order to kill him. During the fight, he overpowered both of them with one arm in a beam class similar to the one that he had against Cell. And in the manga version, he managed to hold off a Super Saiyan Kid Trunks with one arm in his base form. Gohan is so strong that he made BoJack Unbound canon in the minds of Dragon Ball fans. The movie is already very canonable, with it fitting perfectly within the story after the Cell games, but in the film, Gohan two-shotted the main villain of the movie. Now, unfortunately for Zangya, Gohan drove BoJack so crazy that he ended up killing his own side chick in order to try and kill Gohan that Gohan just easily dodges. This doesn't even include the other BoJack members who were killed eerily similar to the Cell Juniors in a horrific fashion. Gohan is so strong that he got the attention of the highest ranking god in the universe at the time in the Supreme Kai. And of course, this is before Dragon Ball Super added more gods and downgraded the Supreme Kai's role in the universe. But remember, the Supreme Kai was mostly interested in the potential of the Saiyans to come help him because of what Gohan was capable of doing, and the Supreme Kai wasn't even confident that he could restrain Gohan from Spopovich and Yamu when they attacked him in the tournament. And remember, this is an older version of Gohan who wasn't even in the best fighting shape at this point. Gohan is so strong that he can slack off for 7 years with no training and get a power boost that made him stronger than he was before. He demonstrates this by easily dominating Super Buu without even getting hit once. And all of this was his own power, with the Elder Kai just bringing out what already existed inside of Gohan. Gohan is so strong that he became One Punch Man against Frieza in Fusion Reborn. Now, of course, you can bang your keyboards saying that it wasn't canon, and you can also bang your keyboards again saying that Frieza was nothing in power by this point relative to where the Saiyans were, but it was awesome seeing another person getting a chance to kill Frieza that is not Vegeta. Because at this point in Dragon Ball history, Goku would have killed Frieza, if we're counting the future version of Goku that killed future Frieza. Gohan, Goku's son, would have killed Frieza, and Vegeta's own son, Trunks, managed to kill Frieza. But this gets even worse for Vegeta because later on in Resurrection of F, he once again gets a chance to exact his revenge against Frieza. But what happens? Well, Whis reverses time and Goku comes in to steal Vegeta's kill, ultimately proving that Vegeta's greatest enemy is the plot itself. And we will see later on in the future what will happen against Black Frieza, and if Vegeta will finally defeat his mortal enemy, the plot. Gohan is so strong that with limited training he was able to put up a fight against a much stronger version of Piccolo in Dragon Ball Super. And after some brief training, he was also able to fight against the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. He then proceeds to fight in the Tournament of Power against the strongest fighters not in the universe but the entire multiverse. And in the manga adaptation, he even managed to defeat Kefla, which required Ultra Instinct Goku to defeat in the anime version. And even though these are two completely different versions, it all shows us that Gohan can always resurrect himself as one of the best fighters for Universe 7. Gohan is so strong that by training with Piccolo for just 2 months, he was a totally different fighter against 7-3. In the first fight, Gohan was completely wrecked and was ironically spared by Moro, saying that he would come back later to exact his revenge and extract more energy. The next time around, he and Piccolo put up a significantly greater fight against Moro's top fighter in 7-3, and in Gohan's case specifically, all he needed to do was get into fighting shape in 2 months to fight against a character as powerful as this. Gohan is so strong that by having a temper tantrum as an adult, he forced the plot to give him a new transformation that makes absolutely no sense just because he's Gohan. And this form allowed him to defeat Max Cell and rival Goku and Vegeta in power as Gohan Beast. Now, of course, Piccolo did not attain this transformation in a very conventional means because he used the Dragon Balls to attain it, but in Gohan's case specifically, we can at least say that Goku and Vegeta in comparison to him had been training with a god of destruction and an angel while Gohan was working a high-level job. And for anybody who remembers that episode of Teen Titans when Beast Boy became the Beast Within, in a lot of ways it's very similar to the outrageous power that Gohan has inside. Gohan is so strong that he caused the writers of Dragon Ball GT to nerf his character by force. They knew that if they did a realistic job of telling the story that Gohan would have been stronger than Goku, so they made him weaker to make Goku look better. In Dragon Ball Goku time. Gohan is so strong that when he was a baby, he was able to burst through a tree while his brain wasn't even developed enough to even understand what his power was. Now, of course, this was an anime-only filler flashback, but this did demonstrate that at an even earlier age, Gohan had potential that we could never understand. Ultimately, and finally, Gohan is so strong that he can inspire the entire comment section to mention even more feats of his that weren't said in this video.
It is a secret we have known before Gohan could even form words in his mouth. Through fights with Reddits, Garlic Jr., the Ginyu Force, and even Frieza, we've caught glimpses of the child's explosive power. Gohan has awoken.